Welcome inside the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. Dan Hope joined by Andy Anders following Ohio State's 7th practice of preseason camp, as the Buckeyes are now 8 days total into preseason camp. We got to watch the Buckeyes practice again on Thursday morning. We also got to hear from Ryan Day as he held his 2nd practice of preseason camp. Andy, between both of those, what are the biggest things that stood out to you today?
To me, it was the defensive line, I think, was probably the number one thing, and this defense as a whole really dominated the first, 2/3, 3/4 of practice, where the offense kind of got some better things going. The last couple of drills we saw some good work in the red zone package from the offense and some different drills there. But, man, the depth on the defensive line, we saw a lot of big plays from Hero Canoe today. Jason Moore had a nice bat down at the line of scrimmage. You had Edric Houston, the freshman, starting to make a little bit of some noise in there, Taiwan Malone, and it's a unit that was without Tyleik Williams and JT Tuimoloau for at least most of the day, maybe all the day. A theme on both sides of the ball for Ohio State, I guess, today that, some guys, whether it was injuries or sickness, were kind of out. But the defensive line and the secondary, too, again, it's just every day, every one of these, I feel like we talk about the secondary. And Jordan Hancock looked awesome. Jermaine Matthews had a nice PBU. Lathan Ransom blew up a 2-point conversion play in the backfield. Denzel Burke had an interception. I mean, defensive line, secondary, they really stood out throughout practice today, I think.
Yeah, Tyleik and JT were both out there. They were running around, so I wouldn't read too much into that. I think it was just a veteran day. We saw quite a few veterans today who were not, full participants in team drills. Donovan Jackson was another guy. Cody Simon was another guy. So, I think they're being cautious, taking it easy with some of those veterans, not having them go, full practices every day. Guys that, they are already known commodities. Whether, they're, nursing anything minor, I'm not sure, but, I think they're just trying to be cautious with some of those guys. That said, they were severely undermanned on the offensive line on Thursday, as several offensive linemen, including Josh Simmons, Carson Hinsman, George Fitzpatrick, were all absent from practice due to an illness. We saw a couple other offensive linemen, Zen Mahalski, Deontay Armstrong, leave practice early. And so, they had some interesting combinations out there on the offensive line. Austin Seerveld was taking a lot of first-team reps at left tackle. You had Joshua Padilla getting in there at the first-team left guard, with Seerveld moving over to left tackle. Tegra Shabola got most of the first-team reps at right guard, but we saw Luke Montgomery mix in there a little bit as well. But, that's the caveat. It was a very good day for the defensive line, but they weren't going up against many of Ohio State's starting offensive linemen, and so that you kind of have to take it all with a grain of salt because of that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they were without 2 of the 4 starters on the D line too, so I mean, it was a lot of depth we saw on both sides, and I just think it goes to show how deep that unit is. Quarterback wise, everyone wants to hear about the quarterbacks, I'm sure. It wasn't the most standout day, I thought. I think we've seen better practices from Will Howard. Made some nice throws in there, had a touchdown to Will Kazmarek, hit him on a corner route, it went long. He made some other plays, some good reads in the run game, I thought, some keepers that went for nice gains, but he did, what was telling is that he continues to eat most of the first team reps. There were some reps where Julian Sayin worked in there with the first team offense, and Ryan Day said they've been dividing up first team reps between, like he said, Will and Devin have gotten the lion's share. That's not what I saw with my eyes. It seemed like the ones, it was primarily Will, but his command is what Day said is really standing out right now, his command of the huddle. And I think there's, the competition isn't decided yet, but again, the underlying message of it all just seems to be heading in the direction of Will Howard's going to be the quarterback against Akron on August 31st.
It certainly feels that way based on the fact that the last 2 practices we've been at, we have seen, him take the vast majority of reps behind what is the first team offense going against the first team defense. Like you said, it seemed like Devin was pretty much exclusively the second team today, just as he was the last time we were out at practice on Sunday. But it was Will and Devin certainly taking the majority of the total reps at quarterback. Julian Sayin, I think Julian Sayin had the 2 best throws of the day. He had a really nice deep throw on a wheel route to G. Scott Jr. Also had another one later in practice, Bryson Rogers. But there were times later in practice where he was not getting many reps at all. And so it does feel, and Ryan Day basically said it, that that starting competition now, it's been narrowed down to Will versus Devin. And he says no decision has been made yet, but it does certainly feel like things are trending toward Will Howard being the starting quarterback. And I think if things continue trending the way they are, I won't be surprised if we're standing on this field a week from today talking about Will Howard being named the starting quarterback.
Right, and that is the next press conference we have with Ryan Day, so a key date to watch out for there. And I think a lot of it, too, the team scrimmages for the first time this Saturday in fall camp, and I think that's going to be a really telling, as a coaching staff, you want to see it in a full scrimmage setting before you are going to name the starter at a key position. So I think it makes sense from that perspective. Other standouts, we were talking about James Peoples, man, how hard he was running the ball out there. Also saw Ohio State split him out wide a couple of times, actually, kind of either in a slot or even a split end kind of position, and do some different things with that. I thought that was a nice standout there as far as the running backs go. And Jaden Ballard has looked solid as far as receivers depth goes. Saw a regular smattering of spectacular catches from Jeremiah. Davison Igbinosun got the best of him on a fade ball to the end zone, and then in the next team drill, the next time there was a throw to Jeremiah while they were matched up, he mossed Davison on a deep ball. So you can't keep Jeremiah Smith pinned down for long. And again, can't go a press coverage episode without mentioning the superstar freshman.
And we were right in front of it when Davison broke up a pass to Jeremiah in the end zone, and we got kind of a first-hand view of the trash talk from IGB that you often hear about. He was all up in Jeremiah's grill, but we saw Ohio State post a clip on social media the other day too, this similar thing of Jeremiah beating Davison, then Davison beating Jeremiah. I think those two have had some fun back and forth battles, and tomorrow here at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center, we're expected to talk to wide receivers and corners. So hopefully we'll get to talk to Jeremiah for the first time. It would be kind of fun to talk to both of them about those back and forth battles because they seem to be having a lot of fun with it. You mentioned Jeremiah making that great catch, but I thought who stood out to me the most in a passing game to me today were the tight ends. I thought both Jelani Furman, he had 2 touchdown catches on the day. Wilkes Merrick also made some plays in the passing game. Now, asking Ryan Day about the tight ends after practice, it does seem like G. Scott Jr. and Wilkes Merrick are at the top of that tight end depth chart right now. When he was asked about Jelani, he raved about Jelani's talent, but made it clear we need to see more consistency from him. It's the quote unquote no talent issues that they're looking for more from Jelani. And so you get the impression based on that if they were to play a game today, it's going to be G and Will probably getting most of the reps at tight end. Who's going to be the first guy on the field between those two? How the reps might be split up, I don't know. But it seems like they're the top 2 guys. But if Jelani Furman can continue to make plays like he did today, it certainly gives them something to think about, especially in the red zone. You just think of him being a guy who can be a weapon in that red zone area of the field, and we saw that on Thursday.
Yeah, Jelani, I think, is the highest ceiling guy from the room, and we've talked about that. I mean, as if you're just looking for pure passing threat, and maybe you could even just deploy Jelani in the red zone. I think in terms of that receiving game, I think he might be the strongest one they have. And G and Will have both made plays throughout camp in the passing game. You mentioned G's wheel route, and he also had a little catch and run on just a quick flat that I saw later in practice. But I just think Jelani, with his pass catching ceiling, clearly Will came in with a great blocking reputation, and then G's maybe trying to develop some balance there. If Jelani, you just get the sense he needs to grow as a blocker still, and that's going to be really important for an offense that's going to want to run the ball a lot this year. With the 2 running backs you have, and Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson, with either whoever the quarterback is, the quarterback run game is going to be an element. So you need a tight end who can get a nice kick out block, seal off a defensive end if needed, or a linebacker. And I think right now maybe that feels like an area where Jelani could be lacking, because we've seen it in the receiving game. He's making big plays out there.
Thursday's practice, the last one that we're expected to be able to watch during preseason camp, but lots more interview sessions to come with the Buckeyes over the next few weeks as we ramp up to that season opener at the end of the month against Akron at Ohio Stadium on August 31. So make sure to stay tuned with 11warriors.com and 11 Warriors YouTube channel for lots more coverage from Ohio State preseason camp, and we'll catch you next time.